Welcome to It's a Grand Life, where our mission is to be a voice for grand families and kinship caregivers everywhere. Did you know that in the United States alone, there are 2.3 million grandparents raising their grandchildren? 2.3 million. It's a Grand Life is committed to making a difference for those kids. That's why we have the podcast, a Facebook group, and the Grand Fund. The Grand Fund, which is a 501c3 which was launched in June of 2024, provides financial assistance to grand families, including shelter, food, clothing, and household needs. Grand families are in every neighborhood, in every city, every tribe and territory nationwide. If this is you or someone you love, we're here for you. And we welcome you to join us on this mission. Our goal is to offer hope and resources to help you. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us wherever you get your podcasts and leave a review. You can also join our Facebook group. Just search for it under It's a Grand Life. And your reviews, comments, and sharing of our podcasts help us reach others that need assistance. Welcome to another episode of It's a Grand Life. Hello, my name is Craig Nash, and we'd like to welcome you to another It's a Grand Life. And we're not moving too far from the Southeast Michigan area today. For our guest is Pamela Price from Priceless Dreams. And this is a very busy lady who's making a huge impact in the Flint area. And, you know, I love it when we have happy endings and positive stories. And that's all she does is help folks help students and parents and single moms and all these folks in the Flint area reach their ultimate potential. And Pamela, thanks so much for joining us here on It's a Grand Life. We're delighted to have you. And I know our listeners are asking, how did you get into this?
Oh, you know what? That's a good question. I got into it because I've always helped people. I always enjoyed it. My parents, grandparents helped people. And so that was just a way of life for us. But, you know, as I started going through life and life experiences, I really noticed people struggled. Why I didn't know that earlier, I have no idea. But life presented itself. And as I was engaging in doing community activities, I noticed that people needed help, especially for school.
And I know you do a lot of work with students, I was really attracted to the work that you're doing at Priceless Dreams because we work with a lot of grandparents who are raising their grandkids, and they could use all the support that you folks offer. Would you say that the majority of the work that you do is with young people?
Yes, it is. And it's expanding. You know, I focused on kindergarten through 12th grade and college students. And now I see, you know, some people go to college later in life. Right. So I end up helping individuals, more than 30 years old. And then I realized it went into the seniors because everyone needs help in different, facets in their life. Whether it's resources, how do I, pay this high consumer bill or the power bill or many things. And so, life challenges occurs where during these troubled times, you need help in many areas, whether it's financial or whether it's simply moral support or, like you said, grandparents helping raising their grandkids.
And, in urban areas, we're real close to Detroit. You're in Flint. About 30% of the grandparents, or 30% of the kids in Flint or Detroit are being raised by grandparents. And it's just as a ballpark across the country. It's just, but the services you provide, the tutoring, the scholarships, the internships.
Yes.
And there's one highlight here I really like from our call the other day, financial literacy. So talk to us about that, because most people don't think they need financial literacy help.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You know what? Everybody needs financial literacy. Financial literacy is not really spoken in the household at a young age or throughout their life. When I speak to college students, they go, my parents never taught me about financial literacy. And so financial literacy is a very broad term, and I break it down according to your age. I start off with simply a budget, my budget for kids, right?
Right.
But everybody needs a budget, right? A budget is based on your income. And so no matter what you make, you still need a budget. That is the baseline. And your budget will tell you, based on your income, what you have available to pay your bills, and then what you have the amount to save and other things you would like to do. Because many people, what I found out is compulsive buying. Did you know people are compulsive buyers?
I know I'm married to one.
Oh, goodness. And so compulsive buying does not allow you to have a budget because you would not follow those guidelines for understanding your needs versus your wants. And what I learned in financial literacy is that you have to show people a difference between wants and needs.
Right.
Right. And so with that, you also, with financial literacy, we teach according to zip codes. Some zip codes, the income is lower based, and some zip codes are higher based. 90120, we hear about the different zip codes, whether in the states, within the state area, there's higher zip codes, based on your income. And then there are some that may average income maybe $25,000. And then some zip codes, the average may be, $150,000, which is a big difference. So I teach students according to zip code, this is how much you would need to live in that area. And I don't hear people talking about zip codes.
That is, I haven't heard that either. That makes so much sense because,
Yes.
My grandma used to say, you got to cut your coat to fit your pattern. And, if you're living in the $25,000 zip code, you can't pretend you're in the $150,000 zip code. But something as simple as making a budget is life-changing if you've
Yes.
never done it.
It is.
And,
It is.
And it can happen whether you're an 18-year-old, freshman in college, or you're close to 40 and, you've got young kids at home. If you don't have a clue what's coming in and what's going out, isn't that a problem?
That's a major problem. That's why people get into, not being able to pay a bill. And later in life, we hear the term bankruptcy a lot because their expenses is so overwhelming, their income, they feel that they won't be able to meet their obligations. So bankruptcy is an easy route. So I try to teach individuals, let's not go that route unless it's absolutely necessary. Let's work through it. But the budget is the key and savings is a key, because what's happening is when you don't have a savings and something comes up, an emergency, then we go to credit cards. And as of today, credit card debt is just phenomenal. And that's all you hear is about credit cards.
And that you're 100% right, Pamela. And I was thinking of if you're a young person today and you're not, really don't have a firm understanding about credit cards and having a budget, you are being hit with all these ads regarding gambling. And it's just I remember in the Detroit area or in the state of Michigan before we had gambling, I had a radio show and we had several pastors on talking about this is really going to hurt low to middle income folks. Isn't if you're living in $1 million house, you can afford to throw $1,000 away here and there. But but if you think, boy, if I just hit this one parlay or whatever they call it, well, I'll be able to get caught up on my bills and it's just so deceitful. And
it's very deceitful, and people don't understand playing the lottery is a form of gambling. And there are people who pay, as high as $100 to $200 a day just on the lottery tickets in the hope of winning to break even. And many of them do not do that. They go in extremely debt and it becomes part of what they consider their need versus a want. Oh, I got $100. I got to put it all on my lottery versus a bill or savings. So lottery is hitting people pretty hard.
And I couldn't agree with you more. And it's like we're when we look at finance, it's like we're at Disney World and we want a fast pass to wealth. And I know that the book of Proverbs says money grows little by little. It's not the long ball, you know,
Yes.
the easy, we find the right ticket. I mean, that just happens so rarely. And then you have those indications, folks who have won the lotto, and it makes life worse for them because they can't handle it, and there's, you know, just so out of control with the spending and everything else. But financial literacy is just one thing that you do.
Yes.
And you do tutor. Tell us about the tutoring program.
Oh, I love the tutoring program. I get college kids and teachers to help with tutoring because what I have seen is in the classroom, sometimes people don't understand the subject. And you have your teacher or you have a professor, you know, saying, here is, for example, math, and here is algebra, and here is how you work the problem or solve the problem. And they like, Pamela, I really don't have a clue. My teacher is showing me all these examples and I just still don't get it. And so no matter what subject it is, the students need help in understanding, and everybody learns different, you know, so you're trying to map the learning style with how they think. And that's the difference of Priceless Dreams. We try to understand how you think and teach it from that perspective, because a one style do not fit all.
I love that. And if we're real honest, sometimes we don't have the best teacher. And
yes,
when I wasn't, I'll never forget. I had a 7th grade algebra class, and I could not get it, and it was so frustrating. And then you start to feel like you're stupid. You know, oh, I don't get it.
Yes, I've heard that too.
But
Yes.
but if you have someone who'll take the time and walk you through it, and then you experiment with some problems, and you really start to get a handle on it, but you know, there aren't a lot of agencies or organizations that do what you do. This is so important, and I would hate it if a young person felt they weren't really good at math because they had a bad teacher, or they weren't, you know, they weren't really understanding the homework or things like that. But that's just an outstanding program you have, and I just salute you for it. And I just it's probably very popular in the greater Flint area, I would imagine.
Well, actually, it's popular everywhere. We get calls everywhere because we do tutoring virtual as well.
Oh,
So in any of the 50 states, you need tutoring, we would tutor you. Because Priceless Dreams, we are licensed in Michigan, Georgia, and California. And so we are expanding to Texas, Illinois, and New York as well. So the whole premise is to be in every state and then branch out to other countries like London, England, Dublin, Ireland, and Sydney, Australia within 2.5 years.
that's just outstanding. We have partners all across the country that run organizations to support grandparents raising grandkids. One of our newest partners is in Fulton County, Georgia, and it's called Each One Teach One Together. And Suzette Brown just does a phenomenal job, and I'm going to make sure that she knows about you and the work you're doing. I didn't know you were doing this across the country. That just,
Yes.
because we're in 50 states and we're trying to expand our footprint, and I just love that. So as the students grow, you can support them. You can just continue to.
I support them. See, our goal is for all the students that becomes part of Priceless Dreams, we see them through their life stages. Like if the ones that are in kindergarten, 1st grade, we want to make sure they graduate and then see their next steps. So once we start tutoring you or mentoring you, you're here for life as long as you need us.
That's absolutely terrific. But Pamela, you offer a lot of services on as part of Priceless Dreams.
Correct.
And are they all available nationally, or is the tutoring?
Yes, they are. They all available nationally.
And so
because it's important. And as people travel and people have relatives in different states, they need that help. And so we don't restrict that. For example, we have a lot of resources in many states, and we're really partnering with a lot more people within California and Georgia, but it's also extending to Texas because we want to be in Dallas, Houston, Austin, and San Antonio. We want 4 satellite offices because Texas is so big, as well as New York. And so there is a need. Everywhere I go, there's a need for literacy, financial literacy. Many students can sight read, but they may not comprehend. And one of the things I've learned as an instructor or educator is that even as people reach adulthood, they go, I really don't understand what I read.
Very true.
Comprehension. Yeah, comprehension is a problem. You can read it and you're like, I don't know what I read. I don't understand what I read.
And sometimes I find as I get older, I need to slow down with what I'm reading and maybe even take a few notes, because the retention is not with where it was 40 years ago. But it's so important. But I just love this, that as we kind of lift the hood here and take a look at what Priceless Dreams is all about. I love that it's national, and it could even be international in 2.5 years.
Absolutely. We got to go international, because we get international calls now. And so I'm starting the paperwork with the IRS to do my international status.
Okay.
Because literacy, financial literacy, and resources is a global problem. It's not just in one city, one state, or a country. It is actually global. When I hear the stories of schools in many of the other countries and islands, did you know students and the families have to pay for education? There isn't any public schools as far as free. They actually have to pay.
That's amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So when you go outside of the United States and many of the other lands, they actually pay. And then they have to have uniforms in many of the other lands. And so I have seen people in Africa and India where, if it's multiple children in one home, they take turns going to school, one in the morning, one in the evening, or they pick dates because they're wearing the same outfit or the same shoes.
Now that's amazing. So you are extremely busy, and your vision is for Priceless Dreams it's priceless. It's outstanding.
Yes.
So for some of our partners across the country, how could they connect with you to start to work with the young people that they support in their grandparents raising grandkids organizations? How can they connect with Pamela Price and design a program for them?
Yeah, well, what we're doing, since the demand is so high, we're asking people to register pricelessdreams.org. And when you go to our website, you will see under the 3, we call it the hamburger, the 3 lines. You click on it, or it depends on if you're on your phone, it's in mobile. So you will see the 3 lines in the upper right. Or if you have a laptop, you will just see the bar where it says registration.
Okay.
So you want to register, and we don't want private information. We just mainly want your name, email, telephone number, what services are you reaching out for. In the case of other agencies, they'll let me know this is an agency. Here's the email contact number. Because what we do in each of those 50 states, we will let them know the resources available for such as yourself, for grandparents, and some of the added benefits that you will have as a support under the laws of each state as a grandparent, what you are entitled to, and some of the other organizations and nonprofits that will help you. For example, here in Genesee County, I am part of the resource, we call it 211. You dial 211 and you're saying I need help with rent, or I need help with clothing, or I need help with school, whatever your need is. They have a list of agencies such as myself, and then we contact them and we help them, because sometimes people simply don't know.
100%. And I'm just kind of blown away by the breadth of support that you provide for your members and your constituents, and it's just terrific. And
and we also started doing clothing closets for the schools. One of the things that I studied when I started for literacy, we give out free books too. We partner with bookstores. And so it's important for kids to have their own books and read them. And what I learned is that I said, well, why is literacy scores so low? Because I look at the state databases, and then at a federal level, and then I look at the counties, and then I break down school districts. And one of the things I found out why literacy scores is so low is not so much the ability not to read, is not having clothing and hygiene. When you don't have your basic needs matched, like the Maslow law of hierarchy, you don't have clothing, you don't have hygiene, you don't have food, you're not interested in learning.
100%. You're
Yeah.
I
So
agree with you more. That makes so much sense. You're uncomfortable. You're not relaxed. You're not going to
yes,
retain anything.
so you're not returning, and then you get bullied, okay,
Right.
because you don't have the clothing, you smell different, and so you go from sitting in the classroom to want to be outside the classroom to not even attending. So when we started giving clothes out to the schools, the demands were so high. I said, we just can't go school district handing out clothes. They need a retail store within the school or a clothing closet that makes them feel comfortable, and decorate it like a retail store. And the difference is when they go through and shop, they be at the cash register and checkout. It's free. You just put things in a bag and thank them for coming.
And do you ever have situations where you have a washer and dryer in the school where the uniforms can
And
be
that's another thing. They said, Pam, we can give out clothes, but who's going to wash them? They can't afford the
Right.
laundromat, $60 to $100. So what I want to do even a step further with the clothing closets is have washers and dryers in the school.
Wow.
Where the family can come in and also wash their clothes that they're getting. But we also want to show them to have the self-respect, because you don't want to just give people and then they feel bad. We want to let them know we're just here to support them in their time of need, and then help them with some of their resources so they can be more independent.
That's absolutely terrific. I think you've thought of everything, and
Have I?
and I think you continue to add on. If I'm reading you right, if a need comes up, you're going to implement it. And
Absolutely. And another thing I always tell people, if they don't know it, the state have a lot of resources for its citizens.
right,
And so they have, for example, state of Michigan may have, 25 or 100 resources, and you have to fill out a form according to what your need is. And what I find out we help people is because people don't know what form to fill out for what they need. And so you're denied it. I said, why was you denied? I said, oh, it was the wrong form. So you got to have the right form to complete in order to get the service approved. And most people ask for like their electric, power, water bill to be paid, or their rent. Well, you know what? They offer, thousands of services. Why do we only use 3? We need to utilize the state for what they do for its citizens on more resources.
right. And you help folks find the right form and fill it out appropriately and get the
Yes.
resources they need. That's absolutely terrific.
Yes.
And it's
Yep.
it's so necessary. And what would you say to folks that are kind of blown away by this interview? They're like, they can't believe that there's a Pamela Price out there that can help their kids with literacy and tutoring, scholarships, and offers internships and financial literacy. Well, what's the best way to get in contact with you and get plugged in?
Well, like I said, it is an email that we have. We got Priceless Dreams 0817 @gmail.com. But register will get you in our database, and we can follow up with you, and then we can monitor you. Because with emails, you get inundated with emails. And then also we do have a phone, but it rings all the time. I got it on silent now. And so I tell people, register for your services. It's the easiest, because then we have that follow-up process. And then we can have, register you for a meeting, or, you can come in or do an intake, or we can do it over the phone or through Zoom. So we try to make it easier for you to receive your services.
That's absolutely terrific. And Pamela Price, I want to keep the door open for you to come back anytime you want to launch a new service, because I think what you're doing should be across the whole country and the whole world for that matter. But we would like to promote what you're doing and any opportunity.
I like that. And I like to say one more thing too.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, people think that starting a business, we help people start businesses too. And we want you to be at least age 7 to start your own business. But most importantly, you want to get in trades. We help with that to get you plugged into the right company or school. And then for scholarships, what we try to do is get you to start in the 7th grade thinking about college, because in the 9th grade, we want you to submit an applications for conditional admissions. And once you get that, and you fulfill that condition, more than likely you will get a scholarship as well.
Wow, that is absolutely terrific. And so you've got a plan for that as well. And
yeah, I work with colleges and universities. And right now what I'm doing is try to work with financial literacy with athletes before they go pro. Because a lot of athletes do not, sometimes struggle managing their money. And by the time their career is over with, they're broke or bankrupt. And
right? Yeah.
Yeah, you got $100 million, but yet you're broke.
Right.
Why is that? And then also when I'm talking to these athletes in college, many of them do not understand financial literacy. Some of them don't even have a checking and a savings account.
But they've been probably getting money since college, with that NIL money, and then how do we save some of that? So for the rainy days and for your future, because you're not going to be playing till you're 60. We know that.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
You'd be lucky to play in your 30s, but Pamela, we need to do a show on the college prep program. And
okay, we can do that.
That's we need to talk about, really dive into that and address that. But for today, let's put a pin in it here, and we're gonna you can't see this on the screen, but we're underneath you and I. They're going to have your logo and your contact information and your email, because we want folks across the country to be able to reach out to Pamela Price with their priceless dreams, and you can help them make it a reality. But we need to get back together and talk about this amazing college program, and because I think that's just going to be a blessing to everybody as well. But
I think it is, and there are colleges that gives out full rides depending on your zip code. See, it all goes back to zip codes, and nobody focus on zip codes.
You are 100% right, and that's why we need to take some time and dig through this. And I just appreciate what you're all doing, and I just love it. And but thanks for being our guest today, and we're going to get together real soon and talk about the college program, and then we can break down these other things you're doing, because it's so worthwhile, and you're doing a great deal in Flint, but it's not limited to Flint. We're talking about the whole US of A, and this is the type of thing that needs to be promoted, especially to my audience of grandparents raising your grandkids. You don't have resources. You didn't count on raising the 1 to 3 additional grandkids in your house. You thought you'd be retired right now and fishing somewhere, maybe, or down in Florida. But life has a way of throwing us a curveball, but Pamela Price has put together some services and some support that'll make a huge difference for your grandkids. And we're just delighted to have you on the program, and can't wait to have you back again.
You. Yes, thank you so much. And like I said, we can break down each segment, resources for the grandparents, like college, trades, the top 10 trades for the next 50 years that make over 100 grand. We can talk about that, because I do look at trends for jobs and the skill sets required. So yes.
We're going to get together again real soon. Thank you for being our guest today and giving us an introduction on what Priceless Dreams is all about. Friends, I knew it was going to be a good interview, but I did not know the extent of what Pamela Price does. And we're just so delighted that you're out there and that we've connected, and we can't wait to have you back again. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today for It's a Grand Life. It's a Grand Life provides vital content, regulatory updates, and subject matter experts that are committed to supporting the 2.4 million kids and their caregivers from every neighborhood, every city, every tribe and territory nationwide. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts and leave a review. Every new subscriber and review helps us reach others that need assistance. As caregivers, we are united in purpose. We are driven by hope while providing strength for today and hope for tomorrow. We are truly making a difference while living the grand life. If you have a suggestion for a future episode, please reach out to us. But we'll see you next time for another It's a Grand Life. Thank you for joining us.